I'm so not a fan of this kind of car wash, but you know what, right now we're in a rush and I have to get this car clean because it is nasty. So they're COVID-19, they're not allowing anybody to clean the interiors of cars, so they're not doing the interior wash. But hell, we got the works anyway, so we'll see what this does. Here we go, it's getting toasty in here. I wouldn't run the air conditioner though.
No, I turned it off.
You know, I've seen videos where foam comes out the vents while they're doing it.
That's what I'm kind of concerned about. I figure I keep our seats on because that doesn't recirculate.
Again, I hate doing these kind of car washes, but this is what we need. Oh, what's that goo? Spraying some goo on me. Oh, I feel it hitting my car. I can feel the hatred through the internet, like right now. Why are you doing that to such a nice car?
Your son too.
My son. And the sunroof is closed, right?
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another one. Today we're going to try to fix a high idle. Unfortunately, for some reason, my good old YG here seems to want to idle around $2,000, and it makes it a little difficult to drive. Here, let's see if it's going to do it real quick. Watch, it'll idle fine, and then I'll end the video, and you all will be like, what's that guy talking about? Let's see. Yeah, see that idle? It's about where it sits. Uh-oh, music. We don't want to. And usually idle control motor at some point will kick that idle down because it's cold, but unfortunately it doesn't. It just stays up at high idle all the time. So we're gonna not let this warm up too much. Let's see. So what I am going to start with now, I know there's probably a dozen things that can cause that. Vacuum leak, well, a vacuum leak will cause it. Idle air control motor will cause it. So to start, we're going to a couple different things. I wish I had a smoke machine. If I did, I would smoke test this and see where the smoke's coming out, and that would tell me right away where my vacuum leak was, or it would not leak, and that would tell me that my air control motor needs to be clean. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take apart the air box. We'll get down to the throttle body. We're gonna take a look at the throttle body. One thing we're gonna try that I'm gonna point out, some people have mentioned that this is possible. You tighten the intake manifold bolts here, here, and there. Oh no, those are, yeah, here and here, not that one, don't touch that one. Sometimes hot and cold, I washed the engine, and I had this problem after I washed the engine, and it might have been a little warm. Sometimes you can end up with a loose intake manifold because this damn thing just kind of hangs off of here and it holds on dowels on the bottom. So we're gonna do that as well. It can't hurt to try to put a half turn, quarter turn, eighth turn on those. And if we can't move, we can't move them. I think our problem's gonna be in the idle air control motor. This is the throttle body from a 4-liter. So it's a little different than your 2.5 in that it has the map sensor, vacuum port comes out of the bottom and shoots on up over there. But we're gonna check all those. But again, first things first, let's work on getting this air box out. We'll get it down to the throttle body, and then I'll pick up from there. And there we go, we're down to the throttle body. I can already tell you where I think a good portion of our problem is gonna come from. It is gonna come from that idle air control motor right there. Because if you look inside, she's a little dirty. And interestingly, this is a 4-liter throttle body again. I just put this on, I don't know, I guess say about 7 or 8 months ago. But I cleaned this thing to the nth degree. I had it off, I went through it with cleaner and a brush, and it's already, I mean, it's oily and dirty. So I'm gonna venture to guess that's probably gonna be a problem in there. And since that's probably the, as crazy as it sounds, this is probably the easiest thing to start with. I'm gonna take that throttle body off. We're gonna check the gaskets. We're gonna clean it. I mean, worst come to worst, I end up with a clean throttle body. Best case scenario is we fix the problem. So let's get these 4 bolts off. We're gonna unplug the IAC, idler control motor, throttle position sensor, and we gotta disconnect our throttle. But there are no more vacuum ports on it. So literally, that's the difference. The 2.5 has a vacuum port on the throttle body for the map sensor. When you switch to the 4-liter version, it does not have a vacuum port on the side here. So you have to move your vacuum down to your tree, which comes off your intake manifold. But again, this is the easiest place to start with. So let's take that off. So we've taken our 2 plugs off, our idler control motor and our TPS sensor, and now we just, oh yeah, our throttle cable, that just snaps right off. We got our 10mm deep, 4 bolts, comes right off. Now, real quick, if you're doing the conversion as well from the 2.5 to the 4-liter throttle body, the one thing, geez, what did I eat? Oh, it's coffee. One thing to note is that you need to swap the 2.5 housing and idler control motor and the 2.5 throttle position sensor. Something to do with the settings. I don't know. Everywhere I see, they say swap that stuff over. I think that the manifold size for the 4-liter is different. This being this manifold, this idler control manifold. Whatever it is, swap them over, because otherwise you'll have issues. I did not swap them over at first, and my idle had idle problems where it wouldn't idle. I couldn't get it to sit at 800, 500, nothing. I had to keep my foot in it. So once I swapped over to the 2.5 stuff and just used a 4-liter throttle body itself, no problems. So let's get this apart. Don't forget your throttle return spring too. That kind of hides down here in the corner, and sometimes you can miss it. I just almost did, so I'm just making sure that you don't. So throttle return spring down in the corners. Take that off, put that aside, keep it safe. And there we go. 4 screws, bolts, 4 bolts. 4 bolts, and whammo. That's your throttle body. It's kind of nasty. The gasket surface, yeah, no gasket surface. So could have been leaking underneath. Interestingly, I have a phenolic gasket I want to replace on here. Oh wow, guys, this gasket is destroyed. That could have been our leak. I don't see any spots where it looks like it might have been. Yeah, maybe right there. Anyway, we got a phenolic spacer we're going to put on. It requires no gasket, so we're going to add that to it. And you squish it down and it'll seal up. But let me get a scraper and get that off of there, and we'll get some cleaner and take that idler control motor off inside the shop and get that all cleaned out inside there. Yeah, see, specifically notes that that's the 2.5 right there, but again, 4-liter throttle body. Let's get on the bench and clean it up. So before you get down to all the meat and potatoes, what I recommend is that you don't take off any sensors you don't have to. The throttle position sensor does not need to be removed unless you're really trying to clean in that area, the throttle blade, but it's just not worth taking it off and affecting any of the settings that are already there. I mean, this is a firm mount, so it doesn't have an adjustability to it, but it does have some minuscule amount of the way it sits. Now, this was running perfect before the idle started to not go down, and I imagine that as soon as we take these screws out, we're going to pull this IAC motor out, and this is going to be disgusting in here. But again, I use a lunch tray. I love these things. The old steel lunch tray. You don't find these anymore, but they're perfect for working on anything like this. So let's go get our spray, get some brushes, get an Allen head so we can take our Torx, get a Torx head so we can take those out, and let's see what we're working with. And as expected, the end of this is covered in oil and nastiness. Now I could probably wipe a good portion of this off with my finger, but it's definitely not making an airtight seal in there. So for those who don't know, this solenoid has a plunger at the end of this, and what it does is it seats in there's a recess in there. Hopefully you can see this on camera, and it allows a certain amount of air to bypass the throttle blade when the throttle blade is closed to regulate the idle. And if there are contaminants in there holding that open, like contaminants on an intake valve, more air will be able to bypass than the motor can regulate, and the idle will continually stay up at a higher level. So what we're going to do is we're going to use old gum out carbon choke cleaner. I got 2 half not even, you know, these are light, probably empty. Of course, when you go to do this, you're gonna have empty cans. Just beware. I'll burn these up, and then I got a brand new guy right here. Another side note: do not use brake clean. I see all these videos of these guys using brake clean to clean carbs, to run cars. Do not use that. Brake clean is probably one of the worst things you could put inside of an engine to try to clean or fix it. Carb cleaner is designed for this purpose. Brake cleaner takes layers off. It's way more acidic than this stuff. Anyway, let's get to cleaning this guy and see what happens. And nylon brushes are your friends, but unfortunately I don't have any friends, so I don't have any nylon brushes. No, seriously, I don't know where any of my nylon brushes went. They were here, and then I shared the shop with an 18-year-old son who keeps it just about as clean as I do. Ooh boy. So we're gonna just use a shop rag, get it through the passages, clean it up, chem tool. Yeah, we're gonna go with those. And that's a good example right there of the amount of crud I pulled out of that housing right there. You see it's almost shiny. I'm gonna keep hitting it, but all I did was take a shop cloth and a bolt and wrap the head of the bolt in the shop cloth, stick it down in, and scrub. So keep scrubbing, make it nice and shiny. You won't regret it. I'm way happy with those results. Now it's still not pretty in there perfect, but it is a heck of a lot better, and I know that that mating surface is clean. Now we got to work on this. Do not lose that O-ring. So there's a O-ring that comes off that seals this. You'll have a lot of leaks in big high idle, and you won't know why. It's because you didn't put that guy back in. So let's get that tip cleaned off. We'll make them nice and pretty. And there we are, nice and shiny. Now remember, these are mating surfaces, so you got to do that ridge down there too. If you don't do that ridge, it's still going to leak. So again, we're going to put this all back together. We'll make sure we clean off that surface a little bit. Obviously the O-ring's got to do its job. Let's throw this back together. I clean the throttle blades, they look nice. Clean the ports, and clean up this bottom, get this excess gasket material off, and then we got to go work on the gasket material that's still left on the Jeep itself. We'll put this all back together, and let's see what this does for our idle. Maybe this was our problem, maybe we don't have to do anything else. I'm hoping, because I don't want to get into vacuum leaks. Oh my gosh. So I'm not a huge stickler for cleansing. There's that word again. So I'm not a huge stickler for cleanliness, but that's pretty good. That's pretty good. However, do this once, put the effort in, get the results out. That's how I live. So I have, I have a roll lock disc I put on a drill. I don't have my right angle out here, so I'm just gonna hit those real quick. I recommend green discs, but this will do because I'm just cleaning it up. I'm not removing gasket material. I'm more removing the oxidation and corrosion on the outside. Let me get that done real quick. To get started in anything else, again, I cleaned up both the surfaces. I'm happy with them. I'm putting this guy in. It's a phenolic spacer I got off eBay. Let's make sure our bolt holes line up first. Oh yeah, they look good. This actually said it doesn't need to go on with a gasket. It is a soft material, so it'll act as a gasket. So we'll throw this all back on and connect our stuff, and let's see if we fix that idle. And there we go, everything's back on, throttle body's clean. I put the phenolic spacer in, torqued it down and pretty good. And let's just hope the idle comes down. Let's give it a start now. Oh, don't put the starter without the air filter on. Yeah, no, that's fine. This is a Jeep 2.5. These things eat phone books for breakfast. That didn't make any sense. Let's see what it does. Contact. Okay, high idle. I imagined we were gonna. Let's see if it settles. Come back. Oh, we're already 1200. 1000 RPM. Look at that, 900 RPM, 800 RPM. That is awesome. 700 RPM. Oh boy. Uh-oh. 500 RPM. Oh, we're in trouble. There's the other control motor calibrating and doing its job. Let's hope that stops in a second. Boom. Now we're idling. However, we've kicked our check engine light, which is something that I didn't recommend. First, you should probably disconnect the battery for 20 minutes, leave the key on, and tap the power to ground while it's disconnected, just to completely bleed out the system and reset the ECU. This check engine light will go off after 1 or 2 key cycles. I'll come back to that when it has, but she's now purring at a beautiful 800 RPM. The idle air control motor is doing its job, and we fixed that problem. Could not get that idle to come down beforehand. And there it is, it's sitting there like happy and smiley. Let's go see what the boy's doing real quick. It's Jeep day here, huh? What do you got, bud? Ah! Brand new motor. Yeah, brand new engine, because we fucked up the old one. Demonetized.
Me.
Well, whatever. So you undid everything, but you haven't removed it.
Nope.
Plug.
Yeah, I was about to say plug,
And then take it off.
But
and then
I wanted to work on this first.
Well, no. So we're here one project at a time. Okay. Unfortunately, if you start working on that, you forget this. One project at a time. Always do one project at a time, people. I'm such a nice father, I decided why not do the same thing twice. So young Buck's 4-liter needs to get cleaned. Let's clean this one up too. So on our other throttle body, now we can do show and tell. We see that the idle air control motor housing on this one says 4-liter and the other one said 2.5. And you want to know what the real difference is. It's the surface area of this guy is way bigger than the 2.5 liter. So obviously the 4-liter needs to regulate for a lot more air to bypass the throttle body to maintain idle. That makes perfect sense. The motor ingests twice as much air, almost twice as much air at idle as the 2.5. So this one was dirty. We're gonna clean this one up, make it all nice and fancy, and keep working on this project. Boom, back together. 99% of the time, so I was just telling the young man here that idle air control motor problems can be resolved by cleaning them. Don't buy one. They're $50, not worth it. Unless you go to a junkyard and you get a bunch of them, you can swap them in and out. 99% of the times, these things are fine. They just need to be cleaned. They're very simple. It's it's just a plunger and an actuator. Not saying that they don't go bad, but don't assume that it's bad and change it when you can just clean it for the cost of 3 sprays of this stuff. Let's get this back on. All right, it's been a few minutes. Let's see if this reset. High idle when you start. Idle air control motor starts to kick in. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Come on. We're shooting for 800 here, people. Look at that. Purring, purring, purring. And that's it. Save myself all the trouble. I'm gonna put this all back together. Go for a nice drive. I wanted to film this. We're a little side note, little extra behind the scenes. Stay tuned. Next video, we're going to be doing DEI, fuel injector cover, fuel rail cover kit, and a 19-pound 4-hole injector upgrade. We already started it in this video, but this will be a separate video so you guys can see how that all worked out. Like, share, subscribe, do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing. And we'll see you later.